Hello and welcome to Well Played. I'm Caroline Hendershot.
And I'm Blake Morgan. Oh my God, it's been a week since we've seen each other.
A whole week.
Craziness. Before we get into the podcast, I'm noticing something with your lip.
Oh, yes.
And I just want to, before people are coming into your DMs,
right,
before we get YouTube comments,
before TMZ is like writing articles about me,
we need to beat the allegations.
Correct.
I would like you to share your story. Why does your lip have a little, I guess,
a little
dot?
bruise? Yeah. Okay, so if you can't see it, that's good because I put on 10 pounds of lipstick this morning. But there's a small little purple dot on my lip. I woke up with it and I was like, that's weird. So obviously I went to Google. One of three things is happening. One, it's a lip bruise. I don't know. They said from like face trauma. I don't know. I experienced a lot of trauma, so maybe. Two, a venous lake, but apparently that only happens to elderly people. But I am elderly, so that makes sense.
Least, yes.
Or three, lip cancer, and I'm dying. So one of the three, not a great vibe.
Praying it's not the last. Mm-hmm. The only reason I bring it up is because you, honestly, if you didn't bring it to my attention in text, she was like, guys, it looks like I got lip injections. I didn't.
I need everyone to know that I didn't.
Which is why I wanted you to beat the allegations. However, if you'd never said anything about it, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
Here's the thing. I'm always going to call myself out first. Yeah. Have to.
I think that's better that way.
Yeah, it is.
So, clean slate. Mm-hmm. I think we can start the episode. How are you feeling? Are you any updates you want to share?
I'm feeling great, feeling excited. I am actually going to the NFL Combine this week.
I'm sure a lot of you are like, I don't know what that is, and that's okay because we're going to get into it. That's one of our topics.
We will explain. But that will be very exciting. It's in Indianapolis, Indiana every year. So back to the Midwest she goes. It's been a minute, actually, since I've been...
Me saying that as if I know the last time you went to the Midwest.
Yeah, it has been a minute. But no, it'll be good. I'm excited. It's the first time I've been to the Combine.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, so I'm excited. But what about yourself? What did you do this past week since I saw you? What's coming up?
I went to tap class.
Oh my God, I saw that on your stories, but then your favorite teacher wasn't there,
She wasn't there. And I actually took a video of myself at class because she was like, all right, I'll let you guys record yourself for the second run because we do a combination at the end. Uh-huh. And you can I'll show you and Sean off air.
Yeah, you don't want to put it on the video?
Oh, okay. I don't need to do that. Okay. Mostly because I just look so unenthusiastic. Like I want to die that I'm there.
Well, are you like thinking too hard? Is that
No,
why?
it's genuinely not that because honestly the class was too easy for me.
Oh, sorry.
And the teacher... No shade, but she was very musical theater-y.
Okay.
And that's just not my vibe. Like my normal teacher's very like jazz, but like the style of tap that I'm very accustomed to. I know that makes no sense to non-dancers, but very jazzy in nature.
Okay, got it.
And this just wasn't that. So I look like I want to die on the video.
Sorry for you.
Yeah, but I'll show you. You're going to get a kick out of it.
Okay, love that.
That was like probably the highlight of my week. And... being here with you right now.
God.
I'm actually very excited for today's show. When we were pitched yesterday, I was like getting worked up.
Amped. Yeah.
And so I think we can just give a little teaser for what's to come. Okay. So we're going to talk about the Combine. Speaking of which, I'm going to challenge you to do a BTS video.
I'm literally going to like set reminders on my phone to pop up and like, or like alarms to.
I'm going to text you.
To like record, like film Caroline. Yeah. So
I'm going to need to see fit checks. I'm going to need to see like this player being weird.
Okay.
If possible.
Yeah.
I don't want you to have any bad blood with any.
I'll try my best.
Yeah. Incoming players. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, I'll text you.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a funny little rule that's changing within the Yankees organization.
Oh, yeah.
Which you have strong feelings about.
Don't get me started yet.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. We're also going to talk about a troubling trend among female athletes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it. I was trying to remember anymore.
I mean...
those are the highlights.
That's the highlight reel, y'all.
Yeah.
There's much more in between, but...
Yeah. Okay, but before we get into that, make sure you guys are checking out our full-length YouTube videos. Just search Well Played by the Skim on YouTube. Or if you are more of an audio listener, you can listen to Well Played wherever you get your podcasts, but make sure you're hitting the follow button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
That was gorgeous.
Thank you.
Shall we get into it?
Let us.
All right, let's begin today's Playing the Field with a story out of a beloved New York institution.
Beloved? Speak for yourself.
I just outed myself. I always do this. I just slide it in. Mm-hmm. Beloved to many.
Okay.
Let's say.
Sure.
Institution.
Allegedly.
The Yankees. you clearly have big feelings.
Couldn't be me.
So they're finally lifting a longtime club ban on facial hair. I should say beard specifically.
Yeah, but
After nearly 50 years. That's a long time.
that's a long
That's
time.
double my life.
Yeah, you're damn right it is. Okay, managing general partner Hal Steinbrenner, the son of George Steinbrenner, who originally instituted the ban, announced on Friday that players could begin wearing well-groomed facial hair. Steinbrenner said he decided the policy was outdated after speaking with several current and former players.
Right. So some players, Aaron Judge, they've claimed that the move was made to recruit a wider pool of players to the Yankees organization.
Please.
Why this strong reaction?
Okay, first of all, I have to preface everyone who's going to come for my absolute neck. I was born in Boston, so obviously I grew up a Boston Red Sox fan. The biggest difference I feel like growing up between the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees was like the Boston Red Sox were scraggly, scruffy, kind of get your hands dirty team. The Yankees were like almost elitist vibe, lots of money, clean cut, like no facial hair. Like that was like part of the vibe.
Right.
Okay. Now you're just going to allow it? Like, if you're going to stand for something, stand for something.
Right. They just hit you with the Uno reverse.
You know, I'm not here for it. Like, infamously, Johnny Damon, who was a player on the Red Sox, when he went to the Yankees, they made him cut his long hair and shave his beard. And it was crazy to see Johnny Damon like that because he was long hair, long, scruffy, big beard. And it's just like when
he probably was sitting in that barber chair, like tears.
Sobbing. Trauma for him, I'm sure. And so when that happened, it was like, oh my God, they're not messing around kind of thing. And I'm just like, so that was all for nothing. Johnny Damon cut his hair and shaved his face for nothing.
I like the idea of giving the Yankees an edge. Look, I think there's a lot of men. I will not name names.
Okay.
But I feel like a big theme actually of this episode today is like rebranding, re-identifying.
Totally.
And I feel like the Yankees just need a little edge.
But like, what, they're in a slump, so they need to like liven the locker room with beards?
Well, that was the thing that I thought was odd. How like
it's not giving.
I wish I had the quote here, but I will paraphrase and say that Aaron, yes, I coughed before. I said Aaron Judge under my breath. He was the one who was like, you know, maybe it'll bring more players to our club and that means more wins for us. And I'm like,
unless Juan Soto is like all of a sudden growing the world's largest beard, I don't think it's like worthwhile.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is a reverse on the beard policy really gonna bring you the talent that you've been like itching for?
Or maybe they're like scouting someone who's like coming up in the ranks who has like a crazy beard, and they're like, he was like, this is a deal breaker for me. I will not shave my beard. And he's made that very known. And I don't follow baseball that in depth to know who this person is. But maybe that's why. You know, I'm giving them that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, but I have to add, because they also announced, the Yankees, that they're going to change their post-game tune this season. So for reasons unknown, they're no longer going to play Frank Sinatra's version of the theme from New York, New York after home losses.
Wait. Can I sing it real quick in case people don't know, even though everybody knows, and it's just really self-indulgent? With my New York accent. New York, New York.
I don't know what that was. I'm really sorry, but what accent was that?
I can do it in normal version.
That was not
New York, New York.
Okay, I'll take that. That's better. But I don't know.
That's like my.
You said New York.
Listen. That's like my murderer, my mobster murderer voice, like from like the 1940s. So it's like, why I oughta.
Oh God.
There was a murder.
Okay, we're done
in New York.
Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming. I literally don't know what just overcame her. Anyways, they're not going to play whatever that was. They're going to play a rotation of Sinatra tunes, including That's Life. Do you know that one?
That's life.
You just sang it in the exact same tune.
That's all I know.
And the old tradition dates back to 1980. So, like, it's not even giving midlife crisis. It's giving identity crisis. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really feel like I threw you for a loop with those.
I'm like so overwhelmed. I don't
Not to lean into baseball too much, but I did just throw you a curveball.
Oh, yes, you did, ma'am. Did you ever watch the show The Penguin? Because that's exactly what you just sounded like.
No, but he is like a mobster, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
I was doing my job right.
Okay.
New York Italian mobster. One last thing is that I just really quickly when we were introing the story, I specified beard policy because have you seen the Yankees team photo?
Mm-mm.
So I was like, oh yeah, I'm expecting like all clean baby faces. No. There are caterpillars on that photo.
Really?
There are men with caterpillars on their faces, and by caterpillars I mean mustaches. And those actually, I think, if the Yankees are going to have a policy banning any facial hair, it shouldn't be the beard. You can have a nice clean beard. It's a mustache.
Yeah.
We don't need any more porn stashes in the year 2025.
Yeah, not here for it.
No. It reminds me of my ex. He had one. He even admits
trauma.
Post breakup, he shaved it off.
Whoa.
Yep. He shaved it off, and he said, I should have done this a long time ago. He told me that.
So are the Yankees going through a breakup? I don't know. Food
Maybe.
for thought. Food for thought.
For thought. This is a silly little one out of the Premier League, which we don't often talk about. So
Premier League. The Premier League. That's better. That sounds like it.
that was really good.
Thank you.
Wow.
What can I say?
Okay.
Was it
I
better
want more
than
of
your
that.
New York accent? Yes, it
Yes,
was.
it was. I'll give you that. So apparently one team.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh my God. We're not okay this morning. The coffee's hitting a little too hard. I know the reference though. Apparently, apparently one team is tired of people getting their name wrong.
Right.
That team in particular is Tottenham Hotspur. Would you like to try British accent?
Tottenham Hotspur.
That was good.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Which plays out of North London. And so this team emailed broadcasters from around the league with the subject line, Tottenham Hotspur naming update. They now want to be referred to as, quote, always Tottenham Hotspur or Spurs, but never Tottenham.
Interesting.
According to their website, Tottenham is, quote, the name of the area, but not the name of the club. So it's like a part of London.
Yeah.
You know, referred to as Tottenham. And it is a long-standing club policy not to refer to themselves as Tottenham. And the reason why this story struck a chord with me
Please.
is because, well, you know, I've had a bit of a name change lately.
Uh-huh.
So this calls back to two moments in my life. First, it was like when I was a teenager, and
Yes.
I was like, Blake is a hard name to come up with a nickname for.
Okay.
There are only so many options. Caroline, I can call you like Carol, Carolina, if I'm feeling spicy. Handy even.
Yes.
Blake, Lou, Merwin. Can't really go many directions with that. You only have like Blake or Blakey, and like Blakey's a little too juvenile for me.
Okay.
So then I had this thought. I was like, what if I start going by B?
Ooh.
I was like, it feels like a little
Kind of
sassy little
kind of like Blair from Gossip Girl when Serena used to call her B. Don't you dare say that you've never seen Gossip Girl.
I think I ate an edible once and watched the first episode.
Get out.
And I was like,
Leave.
what
We're
is
done.
going on?
Podcast over. Get out.
I know. Jail.
Gossip Girl?
I know. It's on my list. As
You're-
is Gilmore Girls. Even Sean.
I am
freaked it over that
with
one.
you right now.
I know.
I literally don't know if our friendship
I know.
can go
I
on.
think actually my life would have been better if I had some strong female leadership as
duh.
witnessed in Gilmore Girls. Anyway, so I really wanted to be known as B. So I was
Okay.
trying to like spread the word. And I was like, you can call me B now.
people aren't.
Yeah. Everyone
Yeah.
was like, bitch, your name isn't B.
Yeah,
it's
they're
Blake.
like, okay, Blake.
Chill, sit down. And so I was just completely neglected.
Here's the thing: you can't make up your own nickname. It has to be organic. Like you can't like that is an unspoken rule. You can't just like be like, suggest. Let me. Okay, my brother did this. My brother actually, his name is Andrew. When he went to college, he was like, oh, hey, I'm Drew.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Andy, which is way worse than Drew.
No, he was like, I'm Drew. And so then everyone in college was calling him Drew. And then when he graduated, he was like, it's time to go back to Andrew. I'm sorry. No, you don't get
You
to
can't
just
do that.
decide. People can make a nickname for you. You cannot make a nickname for yourself.
Yeah. This reminds me too, I'm sorry, not to like divulge too, not divulge, but just like get away from the crux of the
Yes.
story. But my friend Alexis, same shit. She went to college. People there call her Lexi.
Yeah.
They come around to New York. They come to visit us. And they're like, Lexi. And I'm like, who
You're
the
like,
hell
who
is
is
Lexi?
Lexi?
I don't
Yeah.
know her. Same with me. Nobody knew who B was. Even like when people would try, like listen to me and like attempt to call me B,
Yeah, you wouldn't
I
respond.
turn around. I'm like, who are you guys talking to?
Exactly.
So I have been Tottenham before. And I think your advice is sage. It's just like you cannot come up with your own name.
No, you can't. And the thing is, like, the only reason why I know Tottenham Hotspur is because of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because NFL teams play there when they play their international games, like the Jets do. But yeah, I'm just going to be honest. Like, Tottenham is what you call it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And also it's like they're talking about how they want to be referred to as, you know, the whole name, not just the area they play in, but it's like so many teams in the Premier League go by the area.
Yeah.
They are from Liverpool.
Like, it's okay.
What are we going to call it? FC?
You know.
There's so many FCs, babe.
Yeah, we're okay.
Vibes. You're going to have to sit down for this one. Vibes. And that's my verdict.
Okay, but we're speaking of English soccer clubs, so we have to kind of explain the backstory of this, because this has been going on for a few weeks, so I'm sure some people have heard of it. But former NFL star and now Burnley minority stake owner JJ Watt may have gotten himself into a little bit of trouble that he's going to regret, because he challenged Burnley goalkeeper James Trafford to a friendly wager. So Trafford essentially sent him a DM and was like, hey, question for you. Would you mind coming out of retirement and playing for my favorite team, the Cincinnati Bengals? And JJ Watt was like, okay, this is a fun little bet. Sure, I will, if you don't allow a goal for the rest of the season. Since making that promise, the team has gone 13 straight league games without giving up a goal.
Oh my God.
So Watt is now like tweeting Zillow listings in Cincinnati, and every time they win, he's like, gotta go hit the gym. And I mean, here's the thing. I am obsessed with JJ Watt because he was so good when he was in the NFL, and he was so disruptive. I was just...
So you're ready for the comeback.
Oh my God, if he went back to the NFL, I would freak out.
So you're also rooting for Burnley, it sounds, because if...
Yeah, I'm the new biggest Burnley fan, but only if they continue with shutouts.
Once that one goal slips through, it's over for this kid.
That will be so heartbreaking.
I also love thinking about like an Englishman deciding what his NFL team is.
Yeah.
How did he come to the Cincinnati Bengals?
I don't know, but something drew him there.
I love that.
Would love to get a little insight on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would... Also, JJ Watt just seems like someone who is a man of his word.
So you think he'd actually do it?
I just think there's everyone knows at this point. He posted the DM. So, if you're going to post it, you're probably a man of your word. I don't know. So
we'll see.
Bengals could be a team to be very afraid of next year.
For our next story on Playing the Field, we have a fun little in case you missed it to share out of the Unrivaled League. So we didn't get to mention last week. I think it was last week. So Napheesa Collier, who is a co-founder of Unrivaled, which is a 3v3 women's basketball league, in case you don't know. So they had a little mid-season 1v1 tournament, and she won. And she actually won $200,000 for winning, which, by the way, was just $8,000 less than her WNBA salary. And she won it in a little tournament in the middle of her 3v3 season.
Yep.
Crazy.
Winning.
Yes. But the real heartwarmer is that she actually gave half of those winnings, so $100,000, to her training and performance staff and assistant coaches working with her team, the Lunar Owls.
I love that.
That was amazing.
Yeah. I just also think there's so much attention obviously on women being underpaid as female athletes, but what a lot of people don't realize is that the funding for the people that also make the players be able to play and, give them treatment or help them with rehab or anything like that, those salaries aren't big a lot of the time. When you work in sports, I can say this because I know personally, you are not paid a lot of money. It's not like this glamorous lifestyle that a lot of people kind of imagine it to be. It's a lot of oh, I'm really fortunate to get this opportunity, which of course, but because of that, it's okay, I'm willing to sacrifice the level of pay that I'm making in that sense. So
wow, I would honestly love to interview you about this one day. Okay. Perhaps not today, but that's really interesting. Food for thought for our listeners.
It is.
And a reality check. Yeah. I also think it's just really cool that this league that she started as a player, as a WNBA player, that has essentially nothing to do with the WNBA except for the fact that it has players from the WNBA in it, is able to generate this significant extra income for players, and they don't have to travel out of the U.S. to play in these international leagues to supplement their income.
Themselves in precarious situations.
Absolutely, it's amazing, and it's they just are the change they are wishing to see in the world, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, they're making it happen.
Yeah,
which I appreciate. Also, did you know that part of winning the 1v1 challenge was that she got to give her teammates $10K each?
Yes, which is so cool.
Iconique. Interesting.
Sorry.
It's okay.
That was the French brain slipping out. Literally shut up, Blake.
Oh, man. Our accents are unbelievable this morning.
Unhinged today.
Let's turn our attention to a growing trend in women's sports that we're obviously not a fan of. It's 2025. Why do we have to tell people to stop stalking female athletes?
It's one for the ages. I have no idea.
It's a great question. So the latest stalking story involves tennis star Emma Raducanu, who was brought to tears this past week in Dubai when her suspected stalker showed up to her match. So the suspect was brought into custody and given a restraining order, but it wasn't until after the incident that Raducanu received increased security.
So I saw this story, obviously, but it felt like the details, like she saw him at one point and then saw him again. Do you have a timeline of what happened?
So this man had approached her the day before outside of her hotel and handed her a letter, which included his name and his cell phone number or something. And she told the WTA about it, and security was notified, but he was somehow still able to get into the match. So, there's a problem in and of itself.
Right.
But the WTA, made sure to say that the players are escorted to and from match court by one security officer, and enhanced security is provided if a player is subject of serious threats. Mm-hmm. So she essentially was on the court playing and she noticed him, and she said that he was staring intently at her, and she was really freaked out. And this is because she actually has dealt with a stalker in the past. So in February of 2022, a man was given a 5-year restraining order for walking over 23 miles to her house and stealing her dad's shoe off her porch as a souvenir. So that was in 2022. And she said since then, my safety has kind of been taken from me because I'm always looking over my shoulder, which is horrible feeling to have. But I think that this really messed with the tennis world in particular, because have you heard of Monica Seles? Okay, so Monica Seles over 30 years ago was a tennis player who became number 1 in the world, and she was playing Steffi Graf. Steffi Graf used to be number 1 in the world, but then Monica Seles was going on a run, and she took over the number 1 world ranking. They were playing in Germany, and during a break in the match where they were changing sides of the court, a man came up and stabbed Seles in the back on the tennis court because he was a big fan of Steffi Graf and wanted Steffi Graf to get back to number 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was a really defining moment in tennis in general, but also women's tennis, because this has never happened obviously before that, and it just altered the way that women's tennis was kind of thought about and looked at. And so I think not only did this affect Emma in particular because she's dealt with a stalker before, but it's also the tennis community as a whole. Karolina Muchova, who she was playing, was consoling her because she was literally hiding behind the umpire's chair.
The video is really hard to watch
because she was so shaken up about it.
Many things about this story struck me, but in particular, the way that the Women's Tennis Association decided to describe the event was really disappointing to me, I have to say. They referred to it as his behavior as fixated behavior, which just sounds like he was just there and was looking at her, but it's he was basically intimidating her. I mean, whether or not he thinks that was his intent, he was intimidating her. And I just feel it felt kind of soft language to me. Yeah. And that just makes it feel like the behavior that he was exhibiting wasn't that serious. And the way that we talk about these things really matters, you know, because if people think it's just fixated behavior, maybe it's not as big of a deal. But if people were to hear that it was I don't know, actual intimidation,
I also just have to add, I think the biggest faux pas was that the WTA was notified.
Yeah.
Emma made sure that she went through the proper steps and was hey, security needs to know this guy came to my hotel and handed me this note, I'm uncomfortable, and he was still able to get into the match.
Yeah. And I read that they had photos of him, and so they knew what he looked like. They should have been on the lookout for this man in the stadium.
Yeah.
Or on the court rather. Terrible.
Also, not for nothing, but I need to reiterate that, first of all, women don't owe anyone anything. Female athletes do not owe you anything. They are there to do their job. So, why is it that male athletes are treated in a different way where they're almost given more respect and, people are more willing to be like, okay, we're going to respect that they're doing their job. Sure, heckling from the crowd, that's always going to be part of sports, but like,
yeah, their privacy.
There's a line where it is very much so crossed.
This also, unfortunately, is not an isolated incident, and a surprise maybe to nobody. So Gabby Thomas last month, who's an Olympic track star, she posted on social that there was a group of men following her at the airport. And then Coco Gauff actually showed support to that video, saying that she has also gone through a really similar thing. And also, we just literally talked about Caitlin Clark's stalker.
Yeah, we like 2 episodes ago, we were just talking about Caitlin Clark getting stalked and how her security was completely compromised. And I just have to say, like, that is the worst feeling when you're like, your peace of mind is compromised.
When you're just there to do your literal job and you got to worry about some random dude following you around. Are you kidding? And you can't compete like that.
Yeah, no.
And I think what's so hard about like these female athletes, and you kind of alluded to it when we were talking, or we were preparing for this, is just like, first of all, tennis and like track, like these are individual sports.
Yep.
And so there's already so much attention on them as individuals rather than, you know, it's a bit easier to get lost in like a wider team. But something you said that was really interesting to me was like, women athletes are pressured to overexpose themselves on social media and like share way more about their lives. And honestly, reporters even get, I think, a pass on asking more invasive questions that they would never
100%.
ask male athletes.
Yeah. Like, do you remember that commercial that aired a couple years ago that was like, they were either asking questions that had been asked to women to men, and men were like, what is that?
No,
like,
I never saw that.
I'll send it to you and we can link it. But all the men were like, that's a crazy question. They were like, so why would you ask a woman that?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it gets me so angry because it's like, a woman like Gabby Thomas, who is so beyond smart. She like a Harvard grad. She's like earning her doctorate if she wants to after track. Like, she's just so beyond brilliant and so accomplished, and she's an Olympian and she has a gold medal, and she doesn't get the respect. It literally comes down to respect that like, oh, I'm not going to track down her flight details. And I have to also emphasize that like, people think because I'm an Olympian, she must be making tons of money. It's like, no, a lot of her money comes from probably endorsements and campaigns. And a lot of that is possible because of her social media presence and sharing with an audience like what her training schedule is like, what her off the like track life is like. So it's just like, you can't win almost.
I think that what this story is just highlighting is like, if these women who are highly resourced and highly visible, honestly, are unable to even feel safe, then like, what does that mean for people like you and me? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Women like you and me.
Yeah. I think too, it's like part of the problem with more individualized. I mean, what we were talking about last week actually is a great case of this, because we were always saying like, pay women what they're worth and like invest in women's sports. Part of investing in women's sports is providing the infrastructure to be able to protect and support the athletes. So part of that entails having a part of your program or your league that is dedicated to the security and safety of the athlete. So whether that's like on the field, yes, but then also off the field. So providing security services or things like that, because I know like the Jets obviously have their own in-house like security and we travel with them. So I'm never nervous when we're traveling as a team because like I know that we have the security team with us, and like I know all of them by name, and and like we have the police escort, but that's all because of the team. Like so I think that it's important that the leagues, the women's leagues, start investing in that aspect as well.
Yeah, it's, you kind of touched on this already, but it just pisses me off so much how like female athletes, I mean, this is just applies to women in general, but especially in this context, like women athletes are supposed to kind of do it all. Like they're supposed to advocate for their own safety, but they're also supposed to perform to the highest extent possible. And it's like, how do you expect them to do both? And it's also an expectation that we never ask men to have to worry about. You know what I mean? And we never that's never a problem for men.
Yeah. And it's not like men don't also deal with stalkers.
Of course.
I'm sure that there is also plenty of men that
Have you seen Baby Reindeer? Yeah.
Yeah, that have dealt with this as well. But it's more so just like the actual support being provided to be able to like get away from this. Because like it's 2025, like we said, why is this still happening?
I also think it's crazy that so to kind of like cap out Emma's story in particular, she obviously broke down a bit on the court and then she regained composure and just went back to playing tennis.
Yeah, that was insane.
Like, I wish that there was a break in the game or something
I
for
wish
her
someone
to
had the wherewithal to be like, hey, maybe give her a little bit of time to collect herself. Not saying that the result would have been different.
No, not at all.
But like, at least she would have had proper time to like kind of regroup and gather her emotions, because that is traumatizing.
Yes. And it's also like she was put into an environment where like her environment was compromised, not by her choice.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like the least that the WTA, or even just, you know, the umps could have done in this situation was just pause the game, give her a second to collect herself, get back to tennis. It was really brave of her to even get back into playing. I don't know how she did it. Props to her.
Yeah, it's not even just a female athlete problem. Like, also, I'm sure everyone has heard of Erin Andrews' infamous story where she dealt with a stalker and when she was traveling on the road and everything. I think that's the scariest part too, is when people know like your flight information. Like, how does that even get?
She was literally checking into a hotel. And
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was a crazy story.
Yeah, so that is, I think, the most terrifying thing. And that's part of it though, because like when your job is so much so in the public spotlight, people know like your schedule or where you're supposed to be at a certain time. So that is the scariest part. And I think there just needs to be a solve for women in general, which is pretty much like impossible, but it's just like, okay, that's why we're out here carrying pepper spray and we can't walk anywhere alone. And it's really, really unfortunate.
We continue this episode of Well Played as we do every week with our roundup of all the sports action you need to be talking about. It's time for Tuesday Morning Quarterback.
The NFL Combine kicks off this week in Indianapolis, and I will be flying there literally today. So
In like 6 hours,
Got a
maybe.
blast.
Got
Yeah.
a blast. Okay. I have many questions.
Yes.
And I know that our audience does too. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to go rapid fire round. Are you ready for this?
I will rapid fire answer.
This is going to be just all things NFL Combine because
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know what it was until maybe like a week ago.
Got you.
Okay. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Combine?
It's like a series of tests and assessments that the college athletes that have declared for the draft go through. So like different physical tests, like a 40-yard dash or a bench press or stuff like that. So it's kind of like standardized testing, but on the field.
I was thinking more sorority rush week, but okay.
Okay.
Okay, so who gets invited?
You have to get invited. It's any like college, not any, but college athletes that have declared for the draft.
So they're like, I want to
I'm
join the big
foregoing
leagues.
the rest of my eligibility. I am declaring for the draft. And then it's like, okay, maybe we'll invite you, maybe not.
Okay. So you kind of mentioned a couple of these things, but like, what are they actually measuring?
They're essentially measuring like their athleticism and their agility, like simply put, or their like specific skill set for their position. So the 40-yard dash, like that's measuring how fast you are, obviously. The bench press, how strong you are. First of all, the bench press is 225 pounds. Yeah.
Wait.
How many times you can bench it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but then there's also specific drills, like for quarterbacks, they're going to be like doing some throwing drills and stuff like that. So it's a chance for NFL head coaches, scouts to be able to like watch you kind of perform in person.
Okay.
In a standardized way.
Is it an exclusive event, like behind the scenes, or like could anybody watch
No,
it?
it's literally broadcast on NFL Network.
That's so weird.
Yeah, so you can watch all of the workouts on NFL Network. And
Oh
I
my
know you're
God.
like, who watches this? Me, Blake. I do. Literally every year.
You do?
I think the big draw is the 40-yard dash. Like that is always without a doubt like the biggest one people are looking for because, for example, Xavier Worthy, who's a wide receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs, he broke the combine record with the fastest 40-yard dash last year. So he ran it in like 4.21 seconds, I'm pretty sure.
It's like the dunk contest of the Combine.
Yeah, but way more popular because I think more people watch this than the dunk contest.
Wow.
Shots fired, I know.
No, I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who wants to just watch a bunch of dudes work out all day? I don't know. Like, it's very
every
weird.
grown man who's a football fan who thinks he's now a general manager sitting on his couch at home watching the draft. That's him.
Okay, what else? Does anything else happen?
So since all of the NFL like head coaches go, they can essentially interview up to 45 players for like formal interviews. So if you ever watch an NFL Films clip of these interviews, it's insane what they go through. Like they have to essentially either break down a whole play, show what they would do, recite a play back.
So they're not asking like, what's your astrological sign?
No, they're not, surprisingly. I think it's like a chance to kind of test them mentally and like their football IQ, but then also kind of get to know them as a
people.
Yeah,
and
off
what their
the field
value
player.
system are.
Exactly, because that's important, because that's what you're putting into the locker room.
It's so true. Okay,
Yeah.
Final question for you,
Yes.
because I feel like I've been seeing a lot of headlines about this. What if somebody doesn't want to participate? Like, is that possible? Because I've been seeing this guy, Shadur Sanders. His name is this guy. Yeah, he's not doing any workouts and he's only doing interviews. Does that like hurt his, I don't know, candidacy at all?
I don't think it necessarily hurts their candidacy because they're going to participate in interviews and stuff like that. But it's more so they end up doing it in a more controlled environment. So a lot of them who don't participate in the combine will then like a month later perform at their school's pro day. So their school will have a pro day so they can perform in a more familiar, controlled environment. And a lot of scouts will go to the pro day as well. So it's definitely a choice. But I mean, like for someone like Marvin Harrison Jr., who was a rookie this past season, he forwent the entire combine and was like, I'm not training for the combine. I'm training for being ready to be a starter in the NFL day one. So because you have to change your way of training for these specific events so that you can perform to your best capability.
I see.
And then you're not training in the normal way in which you would better yourself for on the field play. So it's interesting, but it's a chance for someone who's maybe a little bit more under the radar to like kind of become more noticed and maybe get drafted earlier. So it could help you, but I don't really necessarily think opting out could hurt you if you then participate in your pro day.
Yeah, and if you like slay at the pro day.
Correct.
Okay. Any other NFL news I should be knowing about?
Yes, let me recap quite quickly. So a major trade could be on the horizon for the LA Rams because they essentially gave permission to Matthew Stafford to talk to other teams. That's their quarterback. Yes, ma'am.
Why should I care about this man?
Because it's a really great question. It's a really great question. That's a really great question. So essentially, like, because they are shopping their quarterback to other teams, that will affect who the Rams want to end up drafting in the draft, right? It will also affect other teams and their draft strategy because if they then acquire Matthew Stafford ahead of the draft, they no longer need a quarterback, right? So it changes a lot of people's draft strategy, and that's why free agency, I think it starts officially on March 10th. You can start talking to other teams, but not until March 12th at like 3 p.m. can you finalize and like sign contracts. So it affects the draft, and then it affects like, because if a certain team is drafting number 1 overall and they no longer need that position, then they're going to change their strategy, right? So it's a lot of
free agency feels like, it almost feels like cheating to me.
I know it's chaos. It's
a
really
mess.
It's chaotic. But also have to add in that the Cowboys are going to be without one of their most decorated players in franchise history. Zach Martin informed the team he won't be returning for a 12th season. He was drafted by the team in 2014 and played his entire career in Dallas. So that's a big one as well. So just like lots of things to consider going into the draft.
Thank you for giving me like a little sprinkle of NFL news in the offseason.
You're welcome.
Before we move on to our send-its for the week, I just want to circle back and briefly talk about the Four Nations
Oh my God, yes.
tournament. I know you watched, clearly.
I was very...
Not hiding it.
Very heated, yeah.
Yeah, so Canada won.
Yeah, unfortunately.
In an overtime victory over the U.S. And the game drew actually a big audience, including yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Over 50 million people throughout North America, including 9.3 million viewers on ESPN, tuned in, and that surpassed the NHL record of 8.9 million viewers in the 2019 Stanley Cup.
That's insane.
It's a really long time ago.
That's insane that also like a non-Stanley Cup game drew that many. That's how like excited people were for this game.
Yeah.
I was very excited. I was on Fight Watch. Let me tell you, Fight Watch was very disappointing because Fight Watch
never happened.
Big old whopping zero. Zero fights. I was pissed.
It's crazy because we got a fight out of this celebrity game.
Yes. And we didn't get one out of Canada, USA.
I mean, is fight the right word I should use? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you would really.
Before we move on to that celebrity game, though, any closing thoughts on Four Nations? Do you think that we should adopt this worldwide, Mr. Worldwide method?
I mean, if you're getting Caroline Hendershot to stay up way past her bedtime and watch that intently, like you're doing something right. So I think other leagues should really take a hint from what the NHL was able to accomplish, because that was so insanely impressive in a trend where like the All-Star tournament or the All-Star weekend is not successful. They demolished that. So
we got a solution for you. Just call it two girls named Blake and Caroline. We can talk shop.
Yeah.
Okay. So also what I was referring to is that there was a hockey game for Fire Relief for Los Angeles starring teams led by Justin Bieber and Steve Carell.
Yeah.
What an interesting mix-up. I also saw Will Ferrell. He was there.
I didn't even know that this was happening. And then all of a sudden, like Scott was watching TV and I was like, what are you watching? He was like, there's a celebrity hockey game. And I was like, oh,
he watched,
weird. Huh? I mean, he like was flipping through the channels. But yeah. And so, but there was a fight. Allegedly.
There was a fight.
Like,
I mean, I saw it with my own two eyes. I don't know about you, but Bieber, he went gloves off. He said,
but there were no
gloves
actual
off.
punches.
Right. He did go into a faux fight with retired NHL star Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah. But yeah, hockey's having its moment.
Yeah. I like how unapologetic they are.
Yeah.
You know, I think more sports should adopt it. I mean, like, they're really wading into culture with this Justin Bieber game.
Yeah.
Bruins with Brianna Chicken Fry.
You're right.
You know, we never forget. They have like little light sprinkles into culture. I think I could become a hockey fan in the future.
I am here for it. And
someone pitch me your team.
I would appreciate more fights.
Yes, please.
Because they're electric.
All right. Time for Send It, y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
It's been a long episode. So as always, Send It features our 4 favorite viral moments from the week that you should be sending to your group chat. Caroline, kick us off.
Okay, I'm going to go with like a tearjerker to start us off because this was very like heartbreaking but heartwarming at the same time. So Columbus Blue Jackets arena crowd sang happy birthday to the late NHL star Johnny Gaudreau's son for his first birthday. So like the entire arena was singing happy birthday to this sweet little baby. And yeah, like he was getting raised up. So like the Jumbotron was on him. And it was just like a really wholesome moment where it's like you have to remember that it's so much more than sports.
Yeah.
It's like the community that sports gives you is so special. And it was just like this sweet poor little baby who's without a father now. And but yeah, it was really special. So I loved that one.
I also loved that one. That was a nice wholesome one to kick it off with.
Yeah.
In the complete opposite direction, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna need a mole agent to place a radio.
Okay.
Old school radio. Give it an antenna, sure. In the Celtics locker room, because the way Jaylen Brown is so tapped out of culture. This man, y'all, unfortunately, it was broadcast on the Jumbotron at a Celtics game recently. And basically the game is that he's supposed to see sees pictures of pop stars.
Yes.
And he's supposed to name them. And he botched it.
It was tough.
He couldn't name Sabrina Carpenter. He couldn't name Chappell Roan. He named Selena Dion. He couldn't even name Paul McCartney.
Or Billy Joel.
Yeah. It was remarkable.
Also, I'm sorry, you don't know who Chappell Roan is? She's like you can't not recognize her.
I know. She also is doing so much for the music industry right now.
Also, Sabrina Carpenter, hello?
I know. She was literally just on SNL's 50th anniversary.
I'm just like, I understand if you don't listen to them because it's not your cup of tea.
Right.
But like...
They're so in your face. Like, you can't miss them.
They're just like all over pop culture news. I would love to know like if he follows any pop culture accounts. Definitely probably doesn't.
I want to know what his
clearly
history's like.
Yeah, because if you don't know someone like freaking Sabrina Carpenter.
I know.
Also, I'm sorry, but Sabrina Carpenter, lest we not forget, she is a witch. So she could actually reverse Uno him and use her powers to curse the Celtics.
Yeah, so he better watch out.
Yeah,
if he knows what's good for him.
He doesn't even know what's coming. Okay. I love this next one. WNBA MVP Asia Wilson debuted her new Nike A1 collection this month, and it's already getting rave reviews, including praise for her hoodie that features a satin lining in the hood. The reason for this design? Wilson said her mom didn't want her to wear a bonnet in the airport anymore, and she was like, okay, mom, classic. Like, classic mom being like, no, I don't want this, and you're like, okay, mom. Like, you're never too old.
It was just amazing because this is what innovation is, y'all.
Yeah, it is.
This is what entrepreneurship is. For the entrepreneur bro, crypto bro. Like, no. You don't have to be in the tech space. You just need to make a smart hoodie.
Yep.
All it needs. And it was so, I just like love seeing her.
Just give the ladies what they need.
Yeah, and it's also so cute. Like, low-key, I would want it. And just, it probably feels so soft on your head.
And it's great for your hair.
Yeah. Asia's been just killing it in the off season. I'm so happy for her. She didn't participate in Unrivaled. She's like, I need a break. Yeah. My body needs a break. She also, let us not forget, played in the Olympics, then played the rest of the WNBA season.
No big deal.
She's very tired. And last week she actually was named a Time Woman of the Year.
Yeah, she was.
Alongside Jordan Childs.
Yeah, she's crushing this
I know.
year.
I love seeing the two of them because like Jordan's a bit younger. I think she's 23 and Asia's 28, which is crazy because when I look at Asia Wilson, I'm like, you are a whole woman. I am a child.
Yes, correct.
And I'm only 2 years younger than her.
Yeah, I feel that.
So I'd love to see this win for her. She also released a pair of Nike shoes as well. Did you see those? They're also all pink.
Yeah,
that was a couple weeks ago.
They're gorge. Wait, wasn't her boy toy wearing a pair?
Yeah. I was actually at the Heat game the night that he wore them. Yes. It was right after they came out.
Bam, right?
Yes, Bam.
Yeah. Bam Adebayo.
So cute. Anyway, for our last end of the day, also in women's hoops, did you see the video of LSU's basketball coach, Kim Mulkey? Absolutely mean mugging.
She was pissed.
After her team gave up.
I don't even think pissed describes it accurately.
No, it was actually so funny. So her team basically gave up a wide open jumper and the camera work, y'all. The cameraman.
Yeah, props to the cameraman.
Listen, it was like a moment out of The Office. He like zoomed in on he captured the.
He follows the ball.
Yes,
right?
He follows the ball.
Sinks into the basket. Then camera goes directly, very quickly to Kim and like zooms in on her face.
And she's just like this.
She's throwing absolute laser beams through her players. Not to them, through them.
Yes.
That is a look my mother has given me one too many times. Probably
naughty.
When she discovered that I didn't clean my room.
Wow.
When I claimed that I would.
Oh my God.
High school Caroline was very messy.
All for an unkept room, huh?
I know.
Well, it seemed like the looks worked because LSU ended up winning the game.
But would you rather have that look given to you by your head coach or by your mom?
Probably my mom, because unfortunately I would rather not let down my head coach. I feel like...
Here's the thing. I would rather not let down anyone. I don't want that look from my mom. That means you're in trouble.
It's true.
Scary.
Even at the ripe age of 28.
And an Italian mother. She is.
Who came here via boat.
Yeah, you betcha.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Your mom came here via boat.
Well, yeah, because she was literally born on a boat. Yeah. Fun fact.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for this week's Send It. Who would you like to say your winner is?
I'm going to say Asia. She's always an MVP in my heart.
Okay, that's fair because she was a runner-up for me. I'm going to say Johnny Gaudreau's son because it was just very heartwarming. I'm a crier. I cry every day. Healthy, in my opinion. Helps me release some emotions.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Cry more.
I would say Johnny Gaudreau won for me. Okay. That's it for this episode of Well Played, presented by The Skim. Thank you as always for listening. Can't believe that we just finished. That felt like it flew by, but it also was long at the same time.
I agree. We're going to be back here in studio next Tuesday after Caroline gets back from the combine.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to be pressuring her on social media to give us a little behind the scenes scoop. So where can they follow you to make sure they see that?
At CG Hendy. I'll give you all of the inside skinny.
Great.
Maybe I'll
the inside skinny? What is that?
That's like a phrase that
I've never heard it, but I love it.
Or like, is it just the skinny? Is it the inside skinny or is it just the skinny?
I like inside skinny.
Like inside scoop. I think I was combining inside scoop and the skinny because I think
the skinny.
I'll research and get back to you, but I'm pretty sure I just combined two phrases. But anyways, where can people follow you?
They can follow me at BLAAs4KE.
Love it.
I might even post screenshots if you give me any pushback of our text messages. If you're like, I can't do it, I'm too busy.
You're going to expose me.
No, I'm going to expose you very much.
That's on friendship.
And that's on friendship. Anyway, you can leave us a rating and review. We would really appreciate it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow us on YouTube. We post our full-length episodes there.
And once again, if you have any recommendations or you want to hear about something or you have any questions, DM us.
Yeah.
Our DMs are open.
Please.
For only nice comments. Until next time, thanks for listening to Well Played,
the only podcast in a league of its own.